Welcome back to the back to the back to the back. If you're here, you are likely a divine feminine on the twin flame journey, and you know that sacred sexuality and embodying your divine feminine essence is a critical aspect to the TF journey, and it's important as far as allowing you to step into your magnetism from the inside out, because not only will it magnetize all you desire in your life, eventually that is going to bring back your DC, or at least deepen the connection that you already have if you are in union. Yes, I'm Ann Hayes, aka Mama G, sacred sexuality and feminine sovereignty mentor, also known as the goddess activator, co-creator of Fiercely Fulfilled Feminine, where I empower twin flames to alchemize sexual trauma into embodied power with my sacred sexuality reclamation method so that they can experience true intimacy, lasting fulfillment, and radiant feminine sovereignty. Yes, now before I continue, I'm going to share a wonderful, amazing opportunity to schedule a complimentary 30-minute body reconnect session. Grab that link in the description, because this is a critical part of the journey, is to unload those lower emotional imprints so that you can create the space to embody what it is you desire. Okay, let's get right to it. 3 keys. First step is the identity. Oh, hold up, wait a minute. Now, you might be thinking, like I once did, identity, that sounds like the ego. Well, guess what? It is. You see, even though you're unloading the ego on this journey, and you're elevating and elevating into greater conscious awareness of who you truly are, the ego still serves a purpose. The key is not being attached to it and using it, in other words, embodying that frequency identity that's going to allow you to engage with life where the divine is in the mix. So everything becomes divine. That's the difference, okay? So stay with me. Identity is connected to a frequency because everything is energy. Now, if you're here like I was, you at one time, and you may still be in it a little bit, now don't shame yourself, because it's going to come out. The old identities, I know it has with me, even recently. I'm talking about the wounded feminine. You know, perhaps you've tended to overgive. You haven't always established the best boundaries, the overpleaser, the overdoing, the go, 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 go. Maybe you're just trying, you're dressing in a certain way, you're trying to act in a certain way, because on some level, when you didn't have the awareness like I didn't, you were looking for external validation and the love from outside of yourself. And of course, if you're at this point on the journey, you already know that. This is like old news. Yet, it's important to review that and to remind ourselves that we're taking that, and if you're here, you're stepping into more and more of your genuine goddess energy. That's high priestess, that's queen energy, that's self-sovereignty energy. You see, that vibrates at a different frequency. The wounded feminine, when you've been on traumatic lockdown like I was, that wounding is a much lower frequency. And so the first part of being able to embody your feminine essence and that softness is by changing your identity. Okay. And I'm going to share the 3 key aspects and start to share some of how you can begin to do that. So stay with me. So the identity is, I'm assuming their identity, if you're here, you want to be able to soften into your true innate sensual nature. You want to feel sexier, not just in the bedroom, but in general. You want to have the confidence to like walk around and strut like the divine goddess that you truly are. You want to be able to go out without makeup, whether you need it or not, and feel completely confident whether you're wearing makeup or not, is what I had meant to say. In other words, you don't need accessories. You don't need this, or that. And yet, what tends to happen is you tend to attract a different look simply because you're stepping into more of, like I said, that goddess energy. So I'm big on the goddess energy. That is the awakening of the divine feminine on this planet right now within the collective consciousness. And if you're here, you are that goddess, you are that high priestess, you are that queen, and you're simply reclaiming, this is a reclamation process, your sovereignty. Okay, so that's a beautiful thing. So you wish to become magnetic, not just to your DC, but to all of life, you see, because it's all connected. And part of being magnetic, actually a big part of it, if not all of it, is your sexual energy and the way you direct it and the way you access it and the way you channel it and the way you, I don't want to say protect it. That's, I guess, directing, channeling, managing, being in other words, consciously interacting with your sexual energy, interacting with a level of awareness so that it amplifies your ability to expand and to create versus the opposite of that. So you want to become magnetic. You want to soften into more of your feminine essence. You want to feel more confident, not just, within sexual, physical intimacy, but in general, like with life. Because again, as I said, it is all truly connected. So what I focus on with my clients is that type of identity. That's the identity that you're stepping into. That's the identity that you wish to embody. Okay? No matter what size, shape you are, no matter what color, what shade, what gender, it doesn't matter because you don't embody this by just buying a new outfit or deciding, okay, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. The embodiment happens from the inside out. So you'll start to see the evidence of that showing up in your life. And others will start to notice it for you too. They'll show up and they'll be like, "Ooh, honey, you're looking good." Okay, that's you. Okay. So, um, okay, let me back up a little bit. I'm going to go to my notes here. I'm not editing. Excuse me, I mentioned identity, and there are people, especially within high level leadership, that talk about, oh, I'm getting tingling sensations, that triadic identity, because it's mind, body, spirit, essentially. It's the energy identity, because it's all energy. And very quickly, it's the mind, it's the subconscious program. Yeah, that's got to come in. And then we have the nervous system. Everybody talks about the nervous system when talking about healing trauma. That's the body where the body comes into play. All of its mind, body, spirit. It all comes to, it's known as the Holy Trinity within leadership communities. And I'm actually part of a business community where this woman uses it very often. She talks about the triadic identity. And so we're stepping into a higher version of ourselves. That's what you're here. You're stepping into a higher version of in other words, you're accessing more of your true self. Okay, not just accessing we are accessing a higher version, higher timeline, but more of your true self is really what it's all about. Okay, so um, how do you start to change your energy identity? How do you start to come into more of this softness? Well, that I could go on and on about that. I do have a whole playlist, inner alchemy tools and techniques that you can access if you'd like. I have a free monthly Body Reconnect Healing Circle. I offer a free 30-minute complimentary Body Reconnect session where I actually take you in and use a body process where you can literally just spontaneously unload a great amount of lower parasitic, even emotional imprints connected to trauma. We can literally neutralize that, a great deal of that just in that one session. So grab that link in the description if that sounds like that's something for you. Let's see. Let's go to, let's see what I have here. Um, let's go to number two, a goal. Now, not, I, I was once here, but I know a lot, especially DFs on the twin flame journey or those who are on a spiritual awakening path. They think of the word goal and like, oh no, it's got to be intention. Intention is a big one, you're right. And yet remember, we're here to harmonize and balance divine masculine, divine feminine energies. And yes, it's great to have the intention, and yet the goal makes it specific. It's linear, it's focused. Think of the penis, okay? That's very symbolic of okay, we've got to come up with the strategy. We've got to have a plan. We have to have a goal. That is a very masculine energy, which is very much needed. So that is actually part of owning your feminine essence, is recognizing that you can allow in as you feel more safe, as you build more trust, that you allow those structures and that support and that provision to be there for you. So that's where goals come in. So, what might a goal look like if you're showing up here and you would like to embody more of your divine feminine essence? Well, it could be, I wrote down a couple as simple as that. I have a goal of fully embodying my radiant feminine essence. And you could put an end date on that. You could, by such and such a date. Or you can leave it open-ended. You decide. However, sometimes it's good to put a date there. You feel into that for yourself. I also have one where maybe your goal is to, and this could also be considered an intention here because it doesn't mention specific, it's more general. So these are more intentions. So let me get these intentions out, and then perhaps I can share what a goal might be. Intention might be to become irresistibly magnetic to all I desire, including my TF. Okay, I think those can be goals too. When I get to the standards, we'll look a little bit more how those goals and those choices can show up. Okay, and you can say, I want to be this magnetic, confident queen who wears certain clothes by a certain date. That's something, the way you can look at it, I suppose, too. Okay. So the question is, when you establish this intention, when you establish this goal, when are you ready to receive it now? Are you ready to receive the truth of who you are now? Because if you are, then you will fully surrender to the process. You will commit in every single way. In other words, you become fully coachable. You find the financial resources that you need, if that is in fact what is needed. You invest time. You make different choices, and that's going to segue into the three key that I'm about to share right now. So you've got to ask yourself and honestly reflect. If you don't believe you're ready to receive that now, think about why that might be, because here's the deal. You're in charge. Divine timing is you. Delay is somehow doubting the process. You are the one in charge of divine timing. You are essentially the center of the universe. You and all your other selves get to create your reality. This is a reminder, and I remind myself of this every single day. Delay is doubt. It's not just healing. You don't need to heal something else or transform something else. If there's something where you feel you're not still ready, because I've been there too and I could still be there, it's because you're thinking about the how. And the how isn't up to you. It's your higher self. It's your soul. They figure out the how. They're in charge. Let them do all the work. You just be ready. Just put yourself in allowance, ready to receive. And that's part of the feminine essence. Okay. And that's what I'm here for. Like, if you don't feel like you're ready, that's what I'm here for. Just saying. Okay. And finally, here's the third one. So I said, so it's the identity. The energy identity is one key. How do you wish to identify as the genuine goddess that you are? Number two, what intention or goal do you have? Do you want to be able to fully embody your radiant feminine essence? Do you want to become irresistibly magnetic to all you desire in your life? Do you ultimately desire sustainable, harmonious reunion with your DC? You may be in union now or not, yet I know for a fact, because these are all people coming into my experience, that there are many TFs who are not in harmonious union. They're in union, but it's not harmonious. In other words, they're choosing to heal in union, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way. It's every journey is unique. So let's remember that. Okay. And finally, number three, standards. Standards are directly related to choices. See, the choices that you make every day are going to lead you to either stay or remain in the identity in which with which you currently identify, for lack of a better way of saying it, or stepping into a new identity. So perhaps you're making different choices. There could be choices to remove something, choices to do something differently. Okay. So those become your standards and they're tangible choices, tangible actions. Okay. Now hold on. Hold on. Did I make it tangible? Okay. That's the goal. Make it tangible. Whatever it is, make it tangible. So forgive me on that one. Standards. What are your choices? You make all these micro choices every single day, and they have a cumulative effect. So, what kind of choices are you making? Okay, let's say, for example, if you're in the habit of going outside all the time and just putting on a pair of sweatpants in the United States, that's a thing. Especially if you've been doing a lot of alchemy and shadow work and you're tired and you're like, oh my God, you just don't want to have it. You don't want to necessarily spend that extra time. You don't feel like it to kind of dress up. Well, first of all, if that's where you are, stay in the house and just allow that shadow work to do its thing. That's one option. If you feel like you do want to get out or you have to get out, like clean up a little bit. Maybe it's at least a nicer pair of sweatpants, you know what I'm saying? And you know, there's always a way that you can look a little bit more cleaned up, a little bit more where you like you show a little bit of self-respect. Because even like a nice pair of sweatpants, even the quality of the sweatpants, the quality of the sneakers, or whatever it is, can make all the difference in the world. So I'm just saying that what is the top example because I'm like, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. Completely different now. So even like every single day, I get up and I'm like, I'm a goddess. So I'm going to dress like a goddess. And so what does that look like for me? It may have makeup, I may put makeup on, I may not, but I'm going to definitely take time to just pamper myself, to shower properly and whatever else it might be. Okay. All right, here's another choice that you can make is this is a big one. And this is what is very common for those who have experienced sexual trauma, and I know I was there, and I'm going to be honest, I can still get there sometimes, is not taking the time to check in with your body. Because your body is always telling you something. And at one point, I'm going to share, my body was screaming. My hips were achy, my chest ached, my head was always congested. I had autoimmune. I just had this debilitating anxiety and just these depressive episodes that would just come in waves and just I had red eyes. I had tightness. I had pain in my neck. I mean, I could go on and on and on because it will accumulate until you start to do something about it. That is your body trying to get your attention. Now, as you move along on the journey, you're going to find that it doesn't scream so loud. And that's actually a great thing because it means you're stepping into more vibrant health. Yet, it's important to always check in. In fact, it's a big part of what I do as a first step to what I call the reclaim process, which is the sacred sexuality reclamation method. That is a process within that structure. And so because if you're not unloading it and you're not connecting to your body, like you're not going to connect to your feminine essence because your body is your feminine essence. Okay. We're here to embody heaven on earth, and the divine feminine leads the way. We're all here to embody heaven on earth. Without that feminine essence, it's not going to become embodied. So reconnecting to the body and not just focusing on the mind and not just focusing on trying to talk ourselves or anyone into healing. You already know if you hear it, it doesn't work. Let's take it to the body. Let's get into the body and bring it all together, mind, body, spirit. So let's see what else you can do. Check in with the body. I also offer a free monthly body reconnect healing circle. Okay. I think I just mentioned that. Okay. Focus. Okay. I'm doing a lot of body work this morning. Let's see. Taking time to engage in conscious breathing every single day. I would say if you're not doing this right now, start to do it, even if it's just for 3 minutes, like just taking 3 deep breaths, maybe one hand on the abdomen, one on the heart, and just ensuring that that energy is making its way into your belly. Because if it's not, you cannot embody from the chest up. So if you have a lot of anxiety, come see me. I can help you with that. You cannot embody anything if you're still operating from a lot of anxiety, which means essentially you are still operating from the lower mind. And I'm not here to shame you. It also means that you're just not going to be able to embody anything because you're not reaching into the area where manifestation happens. It doesn't happen up here. That's where the heart and the desire is. And yet the fuel, the fire, happens in the lower three chakras. That's why sexual energy is so important. That's why your sacral chakra, your sex center, is so important. So I would say conscious breathing. Make sure that belly is filling up. Do at least 3 deep breaths. Do maybe 9 rounds of that, okay, or at least a few minutes of that. Dancing. Okay, I would, dancing, making a conscious choice to dance every single day. It could be ecstatic dance. It could be maybe you listen to a certain type of music and you just want to move to it. It doesn't have to be choreographed. Just allow yourself to freely enjoy the music. And even when you feel like you don't want to, unless you're really, really transmuting heavily, excuse me, which is heavenly, even just a few minutes will make all the difference in the world. Like if you were to do that every single day, that's a choice that's going to allow you to bring in and embody more of that feminine essence. Okay. I know for myself, I sign up for bachata, even though I had, danced at parties. I didn't know what I was doing, but I would go to parties and I actually signed up so I could learn officially some of the steps. Salsa dancing, pole dancing, wine, belly dancing. Like I just decided you could do it online. You can sign up for like um, belly dancing online. You can go to YouTube videos and maybe it's just a couple minutes every day and you're just moving your hips. I'm telling you, these are choices, these are standards which help you to lock in that new energy identity. Um, let's see, what else do I have here? Maybe you allow yourself at least one, maybe you're still financially struggling, which has a lot to do with sexual trauma, by the way, or unhealed sexual trauma, is maybe you allow yourself one self-pampering service a month. Maybe it's something as simple as an eyebrow wax, whatever it is for you, you decide, yet pamper yourself. Now, that's not a daily choice, yet it is a choice of you showing that, okay, I'm in line with this new energy identity as a genuine goddess. Yes, I take the time and I invest in self-pampering. Okay. Another thing is if you're going to go online, maybe you avoid the tarot readings. I'm not saying tarot readings don't serve a purpose, yet maybe you focus on informational journeys, for example, about the TF journey and about sexual trauma. So you can learn about, okay, you can learn about attachment styles. You can learn about the echoes of sexual trauma. So you're gaining information, which is supporting your evolution, which is supporting you to be able to step into that higher energy identity. Here again, the goddess energy. So that is something that you can do. What else? There were so many different choices that you can make. Breathing, chanting, singing, just using your voice and singing and making like vocalizations because your voice is directly connected to your sex center, directly connected. So just making vocalizations, you're literally using sound energy to heal yourself. There is the power of um, your own sound to heal yourself. And that is a big part of what the Hathor Collective does. The Hathor Collective is, if you look at an individual aspect of the collective, you would refer to it as a goddess energy, goddess from ancient Egypt, which focuses on sacred sound and sacred, I forget the other aspect, geometry, big on sacred sound and sacred geometry, and a collective, which is essentially an energy of an ascended civilization, which truly supports the goddess on this planet right now. So if I'm just beginning to get back in and re-tap into that. So consider that for yourself. Again, that could be just the choice to maybe get a book and read every day about goddesses, about the most elevated goddess archetype, which is the Sophia Christ archetype, Sophia Christ energy and that archetype. So reading about goddesses and reading about priestesses, okay? Showing up here and watching these videos. Let's see, what else do I have? Here's the thing. This is how it functions, okay? Now, I had spent 20 years as a school teacher. DYS, DSS, residential, day school, public school, private school, Catholic school. I mean, I was in around and I was in it, on top of it, you name it, I was in it. And so I learned a lot about the power of scaffolding. Okay. Think about like a building. When a building is being built, they call it scaffolding. Okay. So you're working on different aspects of the building. And as you do, you can remove the scaffolding and then maybe you put new scaffolding. Anyways, in education, when you're teaching children or anybody, scaffolding is when you find what is known as a zone of proximal development. In other words, what are you comfortable with right now? Let's say, for example, okay, are you comfortable with maybe putting on some sexy lingerie that nobody's going to see, but you know it's there? So you're tapping into your goddess energy because you've got this really sexy lingerie that you're wearing underneath just for you right now, just for you. Okay. Maybe the next step is, I'm not saying you go straight to 60 with this. Maybe the next step is maybe you buy yourself a new pair of earrings, or maybe you buy yourself an article of clothing that is maybe a little bit more bright than what you would ordinarily wear, because if it's brighter, you might attract more attention. And yet, by doing that, you begin to build a greater sense of safety and trust, and you begin to feel more confident. And it's about you, not about attracting attention. It's about you stepping more and more into who you truly are. Maybe you go out and you buy a pair of earrings that are a little bit more bold than what you might ordinarily wear. Now, it's interesting because on my journey, like I started out bold and I still love bold. Yet if I don't find the right kind of earring, I'm not going to wear it. I'm very particular about my earrings. So these are probably not as bold as what I would what I've worn and what I would typically wear. Yet that's the thing too. Once you're confident in who you are, you don't even need that. And yet, as you scaffold and as you step into more of this new energy identity, that may be something that says, "Hey, here I am. Look at me. I'm bold. I'm bodacious. Like I'm just confident. I'm radiant. Look at me." So part of that boldness is just yeah, you want to bring attention to you. So maybe you've got these earrings and they even jingle when you walk because you're like strut even, because like, look at me. You want people to look at you. You know why? Because you activate them. That is what it means when you fully step into your radiant feminine essence, your queen energy, your self-sovereignty. You actually help others to activate by hiding, and especially hiding that aspect of you. You're not fully serving yourself and others in the way that you can. So yeah, get bold, get bodacious. But like I said, do it, with a little bit of divine discomfort. Scaffold it. Just increase that, bring it within that zone of proximal development. Okay. So yeah, the more choices you make, the more bold you become, and it builds. It has an accumulative effect. So let me know how this resonated with you. Again, very quickly, that's energy identity. There's a triadic identity that involves the energy, the frequency identity, the mind and the subconscious programming, and your nervous system, the body. Together, when you focus on all of these different aspects and the way that I've just shared here in this video, you will find that you will begin to step into more of that genuine goddess energy. You'll begin to soften into your true sensual nature, and you're going to see and witness the increasing magnetic nature that you have, and you're going to witness how you become more magnetic to all of life in general. When I say all of life, I mean all of life. That's why I talk about lasting fulfillment, not just short. I'm talking about sustainable. The kind of fulfillment that lasts, the kind of love that lasts, the kind of self-love that lasts, the kind of joy that lasts, the kind that allows you to maintain the peace even amidst the challenges. Because here's the deal. When you choose to elevate in conscious awareness, when you ascend, there are always going to be those perceived challenges, and yet it's opportunities to grow. It's an opportunity for you to kind of fine tune your frequency. Okay, so there it is. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what choices that you are going to start making today, or what choices you've been making that are going to make a difference, or that have started to make a difference. Okay, also make sure that you schedule that complimentary 30-minute body reconnect session. I'm going to tell you, it's a game changer. Is that we can connect in that way. That'll definitely support you. That's a choice that you can make right now. And yeah, comment, subscribe, share, show the love, be a goddess, because goddesses, we support each other, we support community, we support connection, we uplift each other. Love you so much. I pray this resonates and I pray this helps. Much love. Peace.